Hi there, good afternoon. Welcome to Podgorica, the capital of the little country of Montenegro, on the Adriatic Sea in the Balkans. Today is August 16th, 2024, about 5:45 p.m., and it is 102 degrees Fahrenheit. That is 39 degrees Celsius. I wanted to wait until later in the day when it starts to maybe not cool down, but get, less scorching hot. The sun at least heading towards the horizon now, and it is quite tolerable. So this is Independence Square. It was constructed in 2006. That is the year that Montenegro gained true independence. So I want to talk a little bit about that, the general politics and geography of Montenegro here, because of course it was previously part of Yugoslavia, which means South Slavic, a union of countries similar in a sense to the Soviet Union, but not part of the Soviet Union. So it was communist with a different structure of government from the Soviet Union, and not exactly aligned with the Soviet Union as many other countries in Eastern Europe were. But Tito was not a friend of the USSR, as I understand it. But there was a similarity in that Yugoslavia was a union, so Soviet Union. The Soviet Union was a union of separate regions into one country, the USSR, United Soviet Socialist Republic. So it was kind of one country made up of many countries. And then, of course, that broke apart into Russia and all of the other countries that formed with the fall of the Soviet Union. Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, Moldova, Georgia, Armenia, etc. And so something similar happened here, is my point. That you had Yugoslavia, a union of countries with a similar language and culture, the Slavic, Yugoslavia, South Slavic, as opposed to the more northern Slavic countries, Czechoslovakia, etc. But there are also cultural and linguistic differences and historical differences going back centuries, millennia in some cases. And so Yugoslavia broke apart into 6 or 7 different countries, depending on what you include. So Slovenia, Serbia, Bosnia and Herzegovina, which is one country, Croatia, Montenegro, and North Macedonia, plus Kosovo, which is not fully recognized as an independent nation by the United Nations, claimed by Serbia, but for all practical purposes is a separate country. However, Montenegro here did not gain its independence in the early 1990s, along with the other nations in the Balkans, the other countries that were part of Yugoslavia. They all became independent, but Montenegro remained in an alliance with Serbia, so that they were kind of two countries aligned sort of into one country in a similar sense as Yugoslavia or the USSR. They had their differences, they had a certain degree of political autonomy, but were joined in some way. And so that alliance ended in 2006 with a vote in which the threshold that had to be met in order for the independence to be legitimized was 55% of the vote of the people in Montenegro, and it got 55.5%, so just barely passed that threshold, and thus they became an independent nation. So that is the, very short history of Montenegro. Podgorica here, the capital, became the capital of Montenegro within Yugoslavia in, I believe, 1946. It was then called Titograd, city of Tito, named after the president, dictator, whatever you want to call him, Tito, of Yugoslavia. And then it later adopted its old name of Podgorica, which means beneath the hill. So the city beneath the hill, the mountains around here. And so Podgorica is not a particularly popular tourist destination relative to other places in Montenegro, in particular the beaches. As I showed, Herceg-Novi, I came here from Herceg-Novi on the Adriatic Sea yesterday by bus, a 3-hour journey, and it was absolutely jam-packed. Tons of people, families, etc., crowding the beaches, and that will be the case all along the coast, Kotor, Budva, Olsen, etc. So, is Podgorica worth visiting? Let's find out. Let's go see more of the city. I haven't seen much beyond what I've shown so far. But I have a number of places in mind to visit. Just walking around here. Everything is walkable as long as you like to walk, including the Millennium Bridge there. Not sure what year that was built, so let me check on my phone and also figure out where I'm going next. So I'm not sure who this is. You can see the Cyrillic writing there. In Montenegro, they use both Cyrillic and the Latin script. To the best of my understanding, basically, they were previously Cyrillic and are kind of changing over into using the Latin script more, in part to distance themselves more from Serbia and Russia. And here we have another sign that they might not view Russia so favorably, at least some, which is Alexei Navalny. So a memorial tribute to Navalny, of course, the most famous critic of Vladimir Putin, and the fact that pictures are just sitting there and haven't been tampered with kind of tells you that a lot of the people here must not be supporting Russia and their invasion of Ukraine. Feel free to correct me from a local's perspective. I know that I have viewers who are fans of Putin, but how many are from Montenegro? So, the Millennium Bridge opened in 2005. And looking down at the, I think it's Moracha or Moratska River. Let's double check that I got that right. Yes, Moratsa. So my impressions so far are it's a pretty nice city. I like the size of it, 180,000, so it's not massive, sprawling. You can see the mountains right nearby. There are two rivers that join together here. It's really quite mellow. Not sure to what extent that might be because of the season being middle of August. I'm guessing that a lot of people have left the city and gone to the beaches on vacation. And then also it is just so hot that a lot of people are staying inside. So maybe in, the fall, winter, spring, then it feels busier, but no traffic jams that I've seen, not that many people walking around, and yet overall it's pretty nice. Lots of parks. It's a little neglected. You got, weeds growing up there, various places. There's, some garbage here and there, and some buildings that are a little falling apart, etc. But overall, I like the feel of it. It feels very local for one thing, not like typical European cities that are just overrun with tourism. Certainly that is in part because it isn't the most picturesque European city. But it feels quite safe. Overall pretty clean. An interesting mix of some older architecture and newer. And there are some interesting things to see. I'm looking forward to seeing the old town in particular. But for now, I'm heading over to an Eastern Orthodox temple. So there you can see a sign that says Rieka Maracha, River Maracha. Greek yogurt. So here you can see the Latin script, kapha, which obviously means coffee. So here it is all the Latin writing. I could really go for one of those ice creams right now. So this is the Orthodox Temple of Christ's Resurrection, also called the Cathedral of the Resurrection of Christ. It was constructed from 1993 to 2013. And as I was saying about things being a little scruffy and neglected, this strikes me as a very odd place to put the main cathedral of the city, overlooked by these old, just, blatantly ugly apartment blocks looking very communist era, and then surrounded by this field of overgrown brush and gravel. Perhaps the original thought with it, built decades ago, was that this would be maybe occupied eventually by other city buildings, a cemetery there, and then some nice grounds, landscaping. You have the landscaping right there, but this is just this really kind of desolate, neglected, ugly field. So 313 to 2013, which is referencing a historical event. The cathedral was opened on the 1700th anniversary of something that I saw referenced online in relation to the cathedral. I will look at that in a minute. I'm curious to hear more about what that is myself. So let's see if we can go inside. Door open. Very interesting images there. It is incredible. I love the cathedrals and churches with all the frescoes inside. And then here we have the Cyrillic writing. So remember that on the other statue it referenced the dates 313 AD to 2013 AD. The Edict of Milan was the February 313 AD agreement to treat Christians benevolently within the Roman Empire. Western Roman Emperor Constantine I and Emperor Licinius, who controlled the Balkans, met in Mediolanum, modern-day Milan, and among other things, agreed to change policies towards Christians following the Edict of Toleration issued by Emperor Galerius 2 years earlier in Sardicia. The Edict of Milan gave Christianity legal status and a reprieve from persecution, but did not make it the state church of the Roman Empire, which occurred in AD 380 with the Edict of Thessalonica. So very fascinating history there. I had never heard about that particular edict. And so this cathedral is hearkening to that fairer treatment of Christians. And yes, the Roman Empire was here. There are Roman ruins right outside of the city, which I hope to visit before I leave. I will be renting a car day after tomorrow, so maybe when I have the car, or else tomorrow, if I do some more exploring nearby. And so they're the Cyrillic. They're the Cyrillic, so the two styles of writing are co-equal in Montenegro, officially. All right, now let's head for the old town. There is the Millennium Bridge over the Moracha River. There, a great swimming spot. And there, the old town. Here we go, some nice steps down to the river and the old town. Looks like they're taking a photo. And here we have the old Ribnica Bridge, the oldest bridge in Podgorica, initially built by the Romans and then later reconstructed in the 18th century by the Ottomans. The old town was the main part of the town through the Ottoman period from the 15th to 19th centuries. So I mentioned that Podgorica lies at the confluence of two rivers. So the other river is the Ribnica, or Ribnica, and I guess this is it. So I didn't realize that it was a river with no water in it, at least not in August. So a very interesting setting here with this little gully, canyon, whatever, the hill, the river there for the initial town that existed for millennia. Let's poke around a little bit this way. Sounds like restrooms. The old building. All right, let's walk over the bridge and get into the old town. So, is Podgorica worth visiting? Certainly it is. In all honesty, I have to say that it is one of the least impressive European capital cities, but it is still quite interesting. There's a nice mix of different places to see here. One thing that I forgot to talk about is the prices. So you saw my hotel room there, good price for a simple, small, but very adequate hotel room. And the prices for eating out are amazing, as I showed in my video yesterday when I arrived and then went to the restaurant over by the Independence Square. Then I had 2 main courses and a glass of wine, and it came to $17.50. That is 16 euros. So that might not sound super cheap, but it actually was, because that included 2 main dishes. The sausage and potato platter and a pasta carbonara, both of which were just 6 euros each. Try to find a main course in Europe for less than 10 euros. Very hard to find in lots of places. 15 to 30 euros for an entree. And both of the dishes were huge and very good. I was only able to get through about half of each one, so I could have just ordered one, but I wasn't sure, first of all, how I was going to like the sausage dish that I ordered. I wasn't quite sure what to expect or how big it was going to be, and so I didn't want to get it and maybe not be that impressed, and it wasn't very much and not have enough. And so, especially considering the prices, I figured, okay, just order 2 main dishes and I will definitely have enough. And so the glass of wine then was 4 euros, so reasonable price, not super cheap, but good fair price for a glass of wine. And so that is amazing when you can get, a main course and a side dish, or 2 main courses and a drink, and have it be, 15 to 20 euros, whatever, something like that. Okay, so I would certainly say that if you are coming to Montenegro for a family vacation and just want to get to the beach and relax, then you can skip Podgorica, and you're not missing one of the most amazing places in the world. But from a traveler's perspective, it is interesting, has nice atmosphere, good prices. It does not feel like a capital city. It really feels like, the second biggest city in a country. It's more mellow and easygoing. So, this is a place you could really actually base yourself for a little while, preferably outside of the hot season, and it isn't, 40 degrees Celsius. But considering my expectations were pretty low, then I have to say I like it pretty well. And it looks like one more thing to see here. I am seeing the minaret of a mosque. Stara Baros, Old Town.
Basketball, water polo, volleyball, and all of them actually won some European Cup.
And a mosque.
So my daughter again goes. There's so many sporters.
Oh, we got some information. At the very beginning, Prophet's mosque in Medina was built of very primitive materials. He did not have doors or rugs. After the arrival of the first caliph, Abu Bakr, the mosque was expanded and renovated. So, Medina, Saudi Arabia. So this seems to be sort of capturing Muslim history in general. The Skender Çauş Mosque. According to the Turkish sources, Skender Çauş Mosque and building next to it was built by Skender Çauş in late 15th century. It was the only mosque in town until 1582. Okay, that is going to do it for the tour of Podgorica. I'm now going to head for a restaurant, get a nice cold drink and some dinner. Not sure where I'm going to go yet, but I could end up back where I was last night. I'll walk in that direction and see what else I come across.